Aerin, Borin, and the old elf stood at the edge of the Shadow Valley, the spirit blossom glowing softly in Aerin's hands. The journey back to Lyria would not be easy, but they were determined. As they stepped into the forest, the golden leaf in Aerin's hand pulsed with light, guiding their way. The forest seemed alive, its ancient trees whispering secrets as they walked. The old elf, his silver hair flowing in the breeze, broke the silence. "The forest knows we carry the spirit blossom," he said, his voice low and cautious. "Its magic is strong, but so are the dangers it attracts." Aerin clutched the flower tighter, feeling its warmth seep into his hands. "Do you think the creatures will come after us?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. The old elf nodded. "The spirit blossom is a beacon of power. Dark creatures will sense it from miles away. We must be ready." Borin, walking beside them, tightened his grip on the small pouch at his belt. "We've faced worse," he said, trying to sound confident, but his eyes darted nervously to the shadows between the trees. As they walked, Aerin suddenly stopped, his eyes glazing over. The golden leaf in his hand flared brightly, and before Borin or the old elf could react, Aerin collapsed to the ground. "Aerin!" Borin shouted, rushing to his friend's side. But Aerin was no longer in the real world. He found himself in a dark, endless void. The ground beneath him was cold, and the air was thick with silence. He called out, but his voice echoed back, unanswered. "Hello? Is anyone there?" he whispered, his voice trembling. The darkness seemed to press in on him, suffocating and relentless. He sank to his knees, his heart pounding. "I'm alone," he thought, tears welling in his eyes. "I'm all alone." Just as despair threatened to consume him, a faint light appeared in the distance. It grew brighter, and soon Borin's voice reached him. "Aerin, I'm here. You're not alone." Aerin looked up to see Borin standing before him, glowing like a beacon. He reached out his hand and Aerin took it, feeling the warmth of friendship pull him back to reality. Aerin gasped as he opened his eyes, Borin and the old elf kneeling beside him. "What happened?" Borin asked, his voice filled with concern. I was alone," Aerin stammered, "in the dark. But then I heard you, Borin. You brought me back." The old elf placed a hand on Aerin's shoulder. "The spirit blossom tests those who carry it. You faced your greatest fear and overcame it. That is no small feat." When they finally reached Lyria, the elf guardian's eyes lit up at the sight of the spirit blossom, but her expression quickly turned serious. "The ritual to restore the forest's balance will weaken my connection to the real world," she explained. "Dark creatures will sense this and try to invade. You must protect me while I perform the ritual." She handed Borin a magical sword, its blade glowing faintly. "This sword will guide your hand, even if you've never held one before." Then she turned to Aerin, placing a ring in his palm. "This ring holds the power of fire. If you touch a creature with the hand wearing it, the creature will burn." As Lyria began the ritual, the forest grew darker, the air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to come alive. Soon, dark creatures emerged from the trees, their eyes glowing with malice. "Get ready!" the old elf shouted, raising his staff. Borin swung the magical sword with surprising skill, cutting through the shadowy creatures. Each swing of the blade sent sparks flying, illuminating the dark forest. Aerin, his heart racing, focused on the ring's power. When a creature lunged at him, he reached out and touched it. The creature burst into flames, its screech echoing through the trees. The old elf stood firm, his staff creating barriers of light that pushed the creatures back. "Hold the line!" he shouted. "We must protect Lyria." Despite the chaos, Lyria's voice remained calm as she chanted the ancient words. The spirit blossom glowed brighter and brighter until a wave of light swept through the forest. The dark creatures screeched and retreated, disappearing into the shadows. The forest, once dark and foreboding, began to heal. The trees grew greener, the flowers bloomed, and the air filled with the sound of birdsong. Lyria stood, her face pale but smiling. "You've done it," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "The forest is safe, thanks to you." Aerin and Borin exchanged relieved smiles, but Lyria's expression turned serious again. "This is not the end," she said. "The forest holds many secrets, and there are greater challenges ahead. But for now, rest. You've earned it,